Hey everyone, it's Michael, Goosebumps fan. I hope you're doing well today. I have a review for another Goosebumps TV episode. I meant to get to this last week, and was it last weekend or was it Monday when I released the review? Anyway, I did a book review for How I Got My Shrunken Head. I finally got around to watching the episode tonight. It's Friday night / Saturday morning. Decided to get my video recorded and uploaded and stuff, and do some stuff on the other channel, Strange Michael, where I review horror movies. I'm going to watch Wrong Turn, the remake, or reboot, or whatever it is tonight. Really excited about that. Anyway, this TV episode is again for How I Got My Shrunken Head, which I've had this DVD release. It's a two-parter, by the way, so it's a bigger budget episode, or episodes, and I've had this DVD since I was a kid. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, one of the first reviews, if not the very, I think it was the first review I did on the channel, was for Night of the Living Dummy 3. It was a two-parter, had a DVD release. My grandparents got this DVD for me at the same time they got me that DVD. I'm sorry that my throat sounds weird. I don't know what's up with that. I had dinner a little while ago, had some broccoli and some Red Robin fries that we had from the freezer section at Kroger, so I don't know if that has something to do with it. Anyway, I love this old original Tim Jacobus art. Look at that freaking shrunken head. How scary is that? Just something about that picture, man. Anyway, this is Season 1, Episode 4, and these two episodes premiered on September 14th, 1998, and September 21st, 1998. I thought they always premiered together, but I guess not. Anyway, this is Season 4, Episode 1 and 2. There's some changes in here, but overall I would say this is an extremely, extremely faithful to the book adaptation of the book. I really enjoyed this time. I watched this episode, or two-parter DVD, whatever, one time many years ago when I got this DVD with Night of the Living Dummy 3. And I've watched Dummy 3 like a billion times. Like a billion times. That particular DVD copy I have watched at least once a year most of my life. And I love it. I love it to death. It's still my favorite of all of them. And then it's followed up with Haunted Mask and Haunted Mask 2. There's some other great ones out there like Stay Out of the Basement. Lots of great stuff out there, but How I Got My Shrunken Head is one of the ones that for whatever reason I just never liked this. I don't know why. Never read the book until recently for the first time. I gotta tell you, I'm kind of on the fence about which one I like more, the book or the episode. They're both really good. They're both really solid, really fun adventures. Both of them, I think that the book is fun as an adventure book. I think the ending is a little too weird in some points, but I do think the episode does a better job of being a straight up almost comedic thing, but has some really creepy imagery in there, which we're going to talk a little bit about that, but not too much. This is spoiler-free after all, so don't worry about having anything ruined for you if you haven't read the book or seen the episode so far. But if you ever do, eventually I'm going to try to do spoiler reviews at some point in the future once I run out of things to talk about here on the channel and run out of things to talk about and review. So, God willing, one of these days we'll get around to it. Anyway, where do you even start with this? Ron Oliver wrote and directed this. Now, Ron Oliver, he's responsible for a lot of Goosebumps stuff you probably know if you're a fan of the show. He did Welcome to Camp Nightmare Part 1 and Part 2 from Season 1, Night of the Living Dummy 2, Say Cheese and Die, which all of those are really, really good. Let's Get Invisible, really good, pretty solid episode, pretty solid representation of that book. Vampire Breath, How to Kill a Monster, I haven't seen either of those yet. The Perfect School Part 1 and Part 2, Werewolf Skin Part 1 and Part 2, which I have not seen that yet. Say Cheese and Die, again, How I Got My Shrunken Head Part 1 and Part 2, of course, and Cry of the Cat Part 1 and Part 2, which I have not seen or reviewed yet. Ron Oliver has some good props within Goosebumps. I always forget about him. I always think about Timothy Bond and William Fruit, however you say his name. All three of these guys are big contributors to Goosebumps and doing some great stuff. I don't think I've seen as many Ron Oliver episodes recently. I've seen most of his, but I keep forgetting how good his work is, and I always forget to mention him, I guess. Anyway, there is a lot of stuff to talk about with this episode that I really enjoyed. I'll kind of start off with the premise, then we'll get to the acting and so on and so on. This is a fairly competent made episode. Essentially, this is the jungle episode, the jungle adventure episode of a Goosebumps show, or any kind of kids show type thing. Of course, this is live action, which made it more interesting. And usually Goosebumps has very low budget episodes. Of course, this was in Season 4, which I think Season 4 was the beginning of the show being called Ultimate Goosebumps, which I think is pretty cool. That typically is rated as one of the lowest of the Goosebumps seasons, one of the worst. So far, I'm not understanding exactly why. I haven't seen a whole lot. But, yeah, this is good. This is really good. I enjoyed this a lot. This is very clearly higher budget than most of the Goosebumps episodes towards the end of the show, or even in the midst of it. It's not a filler episode. It kind of feels like it should be, but it's really not. I will say up front, if you are... I gotta be honest. Okay, I'm not saying this just to be rude. If you're very politically correct, you're not gonna be okay with this episode. You won't be. It wasn't like this in the book, but like in this particular episode, when the main character who gets a shrunken head in the mail from his aunt Benna, who also calls his mom and invites him to come to a 2 weeks trip out in the jungle where she lives because he hasn't seen her in forever, but he also loves like tribal type stuff and, jungle, other culture type stuff. She invites him out there, his mom lets him go. He gets on a plane with a guy dressed up like Elvis, which, why is the guy dressed like Elvis? He wasn't like that in the book, the pilot. It's kind of interesting. They changed that for that little trick there. But our main kid, really good. His name is Daniel Clark. Really, really good actor. I actually really enjoyed him. He's really clever, really fun. I like when he kind of goes all Jim Carrey and yells at the top of his lungs when he's trying to express something, but it's funny. Really good actor. Really enjoyed that kid. Anyway, when you get him to, like, wherever this... Is it Belladora? I'm not really sure what the name of the place was that he went to. Anyway, it's the place where the jungle is at that his aunt may or may not be in. When he's at the airport, like, in the culture in general, in the cities, he's, like, seeing, like, a lot of Asian folk holding cages with chickens and stuff. And I just feel... There's one of two things going to happen here one of these days. One of the days, this episode's going to get canceled by somebody out there. Number two, you will never in your life see an episode adaptation of How I Got My Shrunken Head ever again because somebody's going to consider it cultural appropriation of some sort. It's going to happen. Just mark my words, social justice warriors, SJWs, whatever you want to call them, are going to freak out about this. Whenever they get their hands to Goosebumps and find something like this, they're going to freak out and cancel Goosebumps and cancel Stein and everybody else. So just... be ready. It's coming. This is such a bizarre episode to see that, because I'm not used to seeing that in anything I watch anymore. So it's kind of like, I'm not offended by it. I think it's realistic because that's what it's going to happen sometimes. At one point towards the beginning of the episode, the mother actually hears the main character saying his catchphrase, Kalia. And she's like, that's not a foreign swear word, is it? And I'm just sitting there like in shock, like, you could not say that now. You could not get away with that in a cartoon now, or an animated show of a kid show of some sort. You couldn't get away with it in adult entertainment now. It just shows how far things have been taken now with cancel culture, which does exist. Anyway, getting to the point. This is fun. It's adventurous. The main character kid actually goes to a jungle. I thought it was going to be kind of like if you've seen the Deep Trouble Part 1 and Part 2 episodes, you probably know what I was expecting. Kind of like a weird CGI thing, which there is some CGI stuff in here, some really sketchy CGI stuff in here, but there's some really good home run hittings on this that I really liked a lot. I think it really works for the most part. I love the jungle setting. It looks legitimate. It looks like it's actually a good set to have the set. It doesn't look like a built set. It's like actually in a jungle, in a big field. There's tents. There's people actually working for the doctors that he comes to meet over there. Turns out when the main character gets there, his aunt is missing. And there's actually just the doctor and his wife Carolyn, who I don't think in the book she was married to him. I don't remember. It's been like a week since I've read that, but I don't remember if they were married or not. I don't think they were married in the book. I know that Goosebumps Completionist did a video about comparing and contrasting the two, the episode in the book. So I want to watch that sometime tonight and try to see if he picked up on that as well, because I don't think I remember that. Anyway, the doctors have a daughter named Corinne, who is played by the girl who played the daughter in Stay Out of the Basement, the 2 episodes for that. So that was kind of cool. I thought I saw her from somewhere. I couldn't figure out who she was. She's horrible here. She's really bad. I thought she was good in Stay Out of the Basement from what I remember. I haven't read that in a while, and I haven't watched the episode in a while. Probably a few years, 3 or 4 years, somewhere in that ballpark since I've seen that episode last. But I remember her being good there. She is not good here in her teenage years. She's not good here. What's up with the haircut? Anyway, the main kid, great. Really enjoyed him. The folks playing the doctors, the parents of Corinne, I really like them too. I mainly like the guy. He's really kind of fun. I swear I know him from something. I've looked all over IMDb. I cannot figure out what I know him from, but I know him from something. I can't place it. I feel like there was something else I'm missing out on. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Anyway, this is very well made. Again, the setting with the jungle and everything is very, very well done. I really enjoy it. There's some like booby traps and stuff our main character might get into at certain points throughout the episode that are pretty fun. Again, another difference from the book itself is that the doctors themselves actually have people that work for them on the island that are just wearing sunglasses and like white clothes and like khaki pants. They kind of look like they're cult members of some sort. They don't talk. They don't really communicate with you. And the things you find out about those people were actually pretty cool and pretty fun. That was not in the book. I remember that not being in the book, and that was a pretty fun little add-in to have in the episode. I really genuinely think for a two-parter to have the kind of budget this had, it's good. It's really solid for what it is. I really dug it. I know I complained about the ending of the book, where it's like the kind of conclusion with the villain, or villains. I'm not going to tell you which one it was, but whatever happened in that book. That finale was not super satisfying in that one. And again, I feel like this episode is so comedic in both parts of the episodes that it comes across to me like they did a better job of pulling off the kind of ending they had, which is not entirely dissimilar from the book ending, but it's a little bit different, and it adds in a little bit of a way that I like, actually. What am I missing here? Oh, the music. The music was really good in here. There was like this really kind of nice, goosebumpsy tribal drum noise to this episode of the music. I hate to just call it noise. It sounds like it's insulting, but I don't mean to be insulting. I mean, it's actually good. It's actually clever. It's actually kind of got a good beat to it. Again, the jungle surroundings, everything, the atmosphere to these couple of episodes, they work really well. I really dig it. I actually think this could very well be one of the better things of the end of Goosebumps when it comes to the TV show, or when it comes to the kind of books like this that you would expect to be a filler episode. Even though it's a two-parter in this case, you would kind of expect it to be very low budget and not be very good. I'm here to tell you how I got my Shrunken Head. It ain't like that. It's actually very well put together, very fun, very enjoyable. I had a good time watching it. My wife got a little creeped out. So did I, because of the Shrunken Head in the episode that I haven't really talked much about. Of course, this kid's telling kind of the story of how he got his shrunken head that his aunt sent him in the mail. And the head is very odd in here. Again, there's some very sketchy CGI in here. Not that the head is CGI. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. The special effects and CGI are not very good in here, but when they're here, you notice them. You just can't help it. Now, I will say this. I have a feeling that the reason I did not like this when I was a kid is because there's generally, and genuinely, some creepy stuff in here. Some really creepy stuff. There's one, like, really creepy nightmare scene involving a spider that really, really got to me and my wife when we were watching this. She just kind of looked at me. She's a very squeamish type, but she's also very much the very delicate type who did not grow up on horror like I did, and like many of you folks probably did too, and are at this current point. My wife did not know what to expect watching this, and she was kind of in shock. Whereas the other week when we watched, I think it was Piano Lessons Can Be Murder, that was very comical but also kind of creepy at times. And I gotta tell you, man, this is pretty eerie at times. It has some moments in there that I'm a little surprised I did not remember that well from scaring me as a kid, because I know it probably scared me as a kid. But in particular, the Shrunken Head itself. The Shrunken Head sometimes is just a small sculpt, and then sometimes it's also like a mask that somebody has like their hand inside if it's laying on the ground. And therefore, at times, sometimes its mouth will be moving. Now, mind you, the mouth is stitched shut. So that unnerving weirdness to see the mouth trying to struggle to open is terrifying. Something so creepy and really gets to me. It's just something really, really unnerving. Sometimes its eyes are open, sometimes its eyes are closed. It's really weird. I don't understand the physics on that. Most of the time its eyes are glowing yellow, or green, excuse me. It's glowing green when it's activated to try to help our main character get out of trouble. He can make like kind of a wish type thing when he screams his catchphrase, Kali-Ya, and this thing will help him in whatever situation he's in. He starts to realize that. And that's pretty cool. There's some really cool things done in here with just basic, super basic special effects that are so much cooler here. Things like shot in reverse and whatnot that look so good here. So there are positives to some of those special effects. Some of them. Not many, but some of them. Like a fraction of them. Like maybe a fourth. There's some really good stuff in here, man. That Shrunken Head, though, it's creepy. Now, they do have like the CGI green eyes they kind of covered up when it's activated, if you want to call it that. But there's some certain points where, like certain angles, its eyes are red again. Like red. in the sense that they weren't supposed to be red before. So I don't know if that's how they were going to market for editing, that they would color that green at some point with the CGI coloring, or if that was like supposed to originally be red and they thought it wasn't effective enough, so they wanted to make it green. I don't really understand what happened there, but it was kind of fun. It was kind of fun to spot those little misses in editing, because I like to edit too sometimes. I like to watch movies that have problems like that, like these old black and white horror films I post things like Goosebumps videos about. I like to see those things happen. I like to see the inconsistencies sometimes between scenes and between characters and actions and writing and stuff. I like to see that kind of stuff. I like to spot it and talk about it. And this episode has all of that. This is a great example of, if you are a big fan of black and white horror movies, that this is why you should watch Goosebumps. It has a lot of that in its veins, even in the TV episodes who have nothing to do with R.L. Stine, aside from his books and adapting those books typically. This is a great example of a nice little jungle fun kind of action-adventure. I wouldn't really call it action-adventure, but it's kind of an adventure story altogether, with some mystic eeriness to it, some magic in there. It is a fun little, almost fantasy-type story that I really dig. I had a good time with the episode. The book is really good, too. Like I said, the book is good. I'm kind of leaning towards the episode being better. I don't really know. I'm trying to make my mind up on it, but I kind of feel like I like the book or like the episode better. The book is good for what it is. It's really good, actually. But it's like, the episode to me seems like it's more... What am I trying to say? It's like more understood, like what they were going for. It has more of a vision behind it. Like they kind of realized they wanted to bring out more humor into this. And it works. It works really well, in my opinion. So that's really all I have to say about it. I'm very impressed with how good this was. I'm very surprised with the anti-PC stuff. Not anti-PC. It wasn't anti-PC at the time, but the kind of stuff that once the PC community realizes it, they're going to freak out. They're going to cancel Goosebumps. It's going to happen. They're going to call it culturally insensitive. It's probably what's going to happen. Anyway, How I Got My Shrunken Head. I'm so thankful I have this DVD that my sweet grandmother, who passed away years ago, gave to me. I really enjoyed this. I'm kind of surprised I didn't watch this more. I was one of those kids that, like I said, there are certain episodes and books and DVDs and stuff that I did not watch or read or whatever when I was growing up. Mainly because I was more concerned with Slappy and Haunted Mask. That's really all I cared about, and all I knew was Goosebumps, really. And I knew other things out there, like You Can't Scare Me and things like this, and I just wasn't interested in them. I thought the covers were cool, but I didn't really want to get into reading them or watching them or anything. And I'm kind of bummed that I didn't get as much into Goosebumps back then the way I am now. Because there's so much stuff out there, dude. There's so many great books out there in the series and in the franchise that you can enjoy. We have 2 really solid flicks that I really enjoy. Most people don't, but I do. You know, we have some good episodes like this that are really surprising. There's some really good content out there for Goosebumps that people really, really honestly miss out on. It's kind of a shame. It's kind of a shame. So if this is one of those ones, book and episode-wise, that you either don't want to read or don't want to watch, or both, check them out. Really, honestly, give it a chance. I promise you, there's some benefits here. There's some really good benefits here, especially if you like old classic horror. So, when it comes to How I Got My Shrunken Head, if I had to rate this book, or if I had to rate this episode, let me try that again, on a 5-star basis, I would probably give it a 4 out of 5 stars. It's very well made. It's very, very well made. There's a lot of great humor in the veins of the episode that really brings it to life and really makes it feel more full, I would say, than the actual episode, or the book, excuse me. But again, I feel like the book, they could have easily just made this a one-off, 20-minute standalone episode. And they actually took out the time to make this into a full-fledged 2-parter. And it's good. It has a budget behind it with the jungle thing, and it works. It really does. It's a little bit different than most Goosebumps episodes we've seen. We don't really usually have this kind of budget where we've taken people outside of the country and shown them, like, a jungle atmosphere and stuff. It's pretty cool. I pretty much really enjoyed this. That's really all I have to say about it. I had a good time. I hope you do too if you haven't seen this and you go to watch it, or if you read the book. It was a good book. So, anyway, I'm done rambling and going over top of myself over and over again with the same repetitive information. I just really want to nag this into your head. I'm really surprised by how much of a good time I had with this. I did not expect to, because I feel like I remembered somewhere in my head that I did not enjoy this. And I guess it was just me brainwashing myself because of how terrifying this episode clearly is at times. There's some really good tension and stuff in here. But yeah, 4 out of 5 stars for me. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about the book and the episode down in the comment section down below. If you've seen or read either of them or both, I would love to hear it. Because this is one of the ones that I think are more interesting to discuss because of how different but also exactly alike the book it is, you know? and how odd it is. It's just an overall story. It's a very odd story with a very odd setting. You don't really see a whole lot of jungle-focused books for Goosebumps. You see a ton of camping books, you see a ton of dummy books, you see a ton of haunted mask books even. But you don't really see a whole lot of stuff like this. It's very different. But anyway, what are your thoughts again? Put them down below. Thank you for watching. Again, I'm sorry about my voice being so weird. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm just really thirsty. I don't feel thirsty, but maybe I am. You know, it was a workout day and everything. I don't know. I feel like I don't sound right. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. God bless you. Have a nice weekend. I'm going to try to get another review out sometime this weekend, but we'll see. I can't promise it, but I'm going to try. Whether it be a things like Goosebumps video or a book review for what I'm currently reading or something. I'll try to get something out, possibly. But don't hold your breath. Anyway, thank you for watching. God bless you. Goodbye.